Hi everyone, this is Dr. Richard Schulman in Sarasota, Florida. Recently, Dr. Peter McCullough asked the question, how does a mass psychology event occur? He was referring to our psychological response to the coronavirus pandemic. As a psychologist and a concerned human being, I think it's a very important question. So let's begin to answer it. Number one, fear. At the Nuremberg trials after World War II, they asked Nazi second-in-command to Hitler, Hermann Goering, how did the Nazis get the German people to both accept and commit atrocities? He said fear. You get them fearful enough, they'll do anything. When did fear create a measured and effective response to anything? This is Psychology 101. The second is programming. I'm going to start with hypnotic programming. I was trained in medical hypnosis. Hypnosis is an absorption into an internal state of concentration, focused concentration. There are 4 ways you get there: confusion, frustration, repetition, and trauma. There's plenty of confusion, frustration, repetition, and trauma in the coronavirus pandemic. Confusion. The stories keep changing. The goalposts keep changing. The severity, are you going to die from it? Are you even going to get sick? What's the origin? Should you wear a mask? Do lockdowns work? Frustration, 2 weeks to flatten the curve. Now maybe a month to flatten the curve. 2 months, stay inside, to 18 months looking for zero coronavirus, which is ridiculous regarding infections. We have an immune system. There are germs in us all the time. The loss of ordinary coping, the frustration. You can't go to a ball game. You can't go to a concert. You can't go to a movie. You might not be able to go to a restaurant. You might not be able to exercise. You can't see your friends. Oh, but liquor stores remained open. That's essential. Repetition. Stay inside. What do you do when you're inside? You watch TV, you get on the internet, you're bombarded every hour with death counts, with warnings. And the most incredible thing was the idea of asymptomatic carriers, which has never driven a pandemic. Now, I did my dissertation in test construction. I could have told you in 3 minutes the PCR test was bogus. Even Dr. Fauci said, after 35 cycles, you're getting upwards of 97% false positives. Gee, I wonder if that would explain asymptomatic people. Asymptomatic equals healthy. And then there's trauma. In the diagnostic manual for psychiatry, you'll find post-traumatic stress disorder, and in the categorization of this, you don't have to have it happen to you to have post-traumatic stress. It can happen to someone close to you, or it just can happen. You can witness it. How many people were bombarded with this hour after hour on television and on the internet, that there's death after death after death, and it's coming for you. And by the way, you may not have a job again, or a home, or a family. So we've got hypnotic programming, and then we have societal programming, social ostracizing, censorship, big tech, big government, mainstream media, all censoring becomes scientific consensus, not scientific method. Scientific method is we're supposed to discuss and debate. We're not supposed to censor. And then there's isolation. You know, I'm connected to every major hospital in this area, and the hospitals around here were never full. You never would have known that from the media. I knew boots on the ground. I knew physicians that I trusted who told me there were treatment options for coronavirus, and there were prevention options. And I noticed that myself, I didn't get sick. No one around me did. But these were squashed. If you don't have boots on the ground, you don't get the information. Other problems were ignored. Cancer screenings, ignored. Cardiovascular illness, ignored. Child hunger, ignored. Suicide and drug overdoses are skyrocketing in my own practice. Basically ignored. Everything was coronavirus. Programming, and then we get to vaccines. Vaccine good, anyone or anything else bad. Follow the money, people. And follow where you're being blocked and censored. One more thing. We do what we're told. There was an experiment in 1960 by a psychologist named Stanley Milgram in Yale. He wanted to go to Germany and show how the German people were different. Guess what? He did the experiment in Yale. He found that the Germans were no different. Here's the experiment. Guy in a white coat and a clipboard, and there's a guy behind a wall who's answering questions from the guy in the white coat, who, by the way, is never identified as a doctor or a scientist. The real experimental subject is a guy sitting with the guy in the white coat who has a pain dial. When the guy behind the wall answers wrong, the guy in the white coat instructs the guy with the pain dial to turn it up. Almost everyone turned it up to the max, with the other guy screaming and sometimes passing out. Of course, he wasn't really. It was a fake. But the guy with the pain dial doesn't know that. Sometimes they protested, but they almost always did it. So, what does this mean? It means we are in a battle for reality. We have to question authority. We have to know people, boots on the ground, doctors we trust. And we have to question everyone, even the ones we trust. Let's do our homework. Let's get good information. Let's debate. Let's discuss. And let's not do it out of fear. Let's live at a higher vibration, a vibration of love. I'm doing this video because I love my brothers and sisters. I love the people in my life. I want to see people healthy, happy. You know, the absence of symptoms is not health. Health is a robust expression of life energy. So let's live there, people. Question authority. Do your homework. Boots on the ground. Make your social connections. I send you love, good wishes, good health. This is Dr. Richard Schulman in Sarasota, Florida.